Cool. Okay, that's good. Okay, well, everyone, thank you for joining us. And if anyone comes in as we go, you'll have to just pick up the pace as we go. So welcome to National Positions webinar on thriving in a hyper-competitive 2021 holiday season. And if you know who National Positions is, you've either worked with us before. If you haven't, we've been around for a long time, almost 20 years. We cover pretty much every edge of the digital marketing spectrum, from social media to marketing automation to business intelligence and beyond. But we're just going to dive right into today's festivities. So first of all, our team that is going to be presenting today. So as I call you out, if you could at least wave so people can hopefully see you. We have Bernard May. Unfortunately, he had a family emergency, so he wasn't able to join us today, but he's here in spirit. And he will, if you have any questions as we go through that need to be directed to him, we will, of course, take care of that for you. But we have Phoenix Ha. She's our director of paid social media. There she is right there.
Waving.
She's waving. Hopefully you can see that. Darren May. He's Bernard's. Are you the youngest or the oldest, Darren?
Oldest.
Oldest is Bernard's son, Darren, who's our head of marketing automation. Myself, I'm the director of marketing. I'm Matt Erickson, director of marketing for National Positions. Courtney Pierce, she's our head of Amazon marketing. There she is. And just e-commerce in general. She handles most of that. And then Kelly, who is one of our paid media managers, who is graciously jumping in and dropping some vast amounts of knowledge on us today. So let's dive right in. So our agenda today is, first, we're going to go over some data looking at the outlook for the 2021 holiday season. It's going to be a lot of numbers in there, but I'll try to make it as painless as possible. Then we're going to go into the social media, the paid social commerce landscape. We're going to look at Amazon and e-commerce. We're going to go into Google Ads, which of course you mentioned Kelly's going to be taking care of. And then Darren's going to wrap us up with marketing automation and email marketing that's going to be involved in that. We will have a Q&A session open at the end, which leads us to our, if you do have any questions, you should have a little Q&A, bubble. We have it that, highlighted right here. So you should be able to access that at any time and add your questions, and I'll be monitoring that. So as we go, at the end, if we do have questions, we'll happily tackle them one by one. So with that, let's get into some of the data and numbers we were looking at when it comes to the holiday season for 2021. So to not really predict, but to strategize for 2021, we're not only going to be looking at what happened last year, but also the year before, because there's some interesting insights that, we all know that every piece of data has to be taken with a little bit of a grain of salt, because just depending on your business model and your company and your brand, and what verticals that you're focusing on, what channels you're focusing on when it comes to your digital marketing stack. So this actually came, I believe this was from Google, that in 2020, the main gist of this whole thing is where I have these green circles, which is, 45% of all holiday spend happened by the end of Cyber Week. So this is just something to keep in mind that, we have this big ramp up, which we'll be going into the data in a moment here. We have, sustained after, after the Cyber Week, the Black Fridays, the Cyber Mondays, the Tuesdays, I'm not sure how, I think it goes for like 2 weeks now. But there's a lot of sustained purchasing after that. But the big majority of people's buying decisions is going to be happening leading up to that date. So don't worry, we'll dig further into this with each of our verticals, with each of our channels, excuse me. So again, from Google, some of the interesting things that are going to be a thread you're going to see throughout today's webinar is shopping is starting earlier. I think we've all seen that every year. It's like, what? Why are our store, if you're out and about and you're actually in store, like, why are things coming out already? And it seems like every year it's earlier and earlier and earlier, but we actually have the data, that shows that now. So whether it's, pre-Cyber Week or Cyber Week or post-Cyber Week or whatever it's going to be, the goalposts are being moved back sooner and sooner and sooner. So it means we need to prepare sooner and sooner and sooner. I think there was a wonderful time when we could just say, November, December, done. But that is obviously not the case anymore. Second is, e-commerce, especially with the boost last year. Most of you saw the articles that were coming out, I think everywhere on Newsweek and CNN, there was like a 44% explosion in e-commerce purchasing last year. It's not that excessive this year. I think we're probably at 14 to 15%, but it is still moving. It has not regressed back. So that's something we're definitely keeping in mind. And in this center section, obviously we have a lot of countries here, but even the US alone, we're at 44% of people purchasing on, it's focusing on the e-commerce side. And then of course the mobile side. And this is if you're online, of course, we're shopping on Amazon, or you're searching on Google, or if you're in store and shopping prices and then going somewhere else. I mean, our mobile devices are not going away anytime soon, so we can't neglect any of that. Next, there's this wonderful tool that Phoenix, there you are, introduced to me. They just came out with it a few months ago, I believe, and I think it's called their interactive, holiday report. So you can actually go into each country and look at these different trends and from last year and how people acted, to hopefully give us some insights as to what we're going to do this year. So these are some interesting findings. So first, from planning to purchase. So how far in advance of the holidays? This was a question posed. Do you start planning when you're going to buy for yourself, your home, or your family? And we see that, even if just the October and November is an indicator, that's, nearly 70% of people planning far before, of course, December ever hits. So, and unfortunately, it didn't go back any further than that. But I know if you're anything like me, I mean, I'm already looking at, all right, because I had shipping issues last year, I should already start planning for what's going on. So people are preparing earlier than they ever have before. Now, this is where things start to get interesting, because a lot of the data is just what's happening, but we need to uncover not only why it's happening, but also what the opportunities are when it comes to those numbers. So when it comes to how people are planning to make their holiday purchases, of course, we see almost 90% here at the top. They're focusing on their computers or their devices or their tablets or anything that's digital. But down here, we're going to come back to this in a moment. This is in 2020, over 50% were also planning on purchasing in store, which we'll unpack that in a moment, but this is going to be an interesting number to come back to in a second here. And when it comes to where people found the most, where it was the simplest to actually make their purchases to, get what they wanted. Again, we had a slight dip there. We had 75% saying, yeah, their computer, their devices. And then we had 22% saying in-store, because today's presentation is not just going to be around strictly mobile, but we're going to be looking at the entire experience when it comes to the holiday shopping season. And when you have 55% saying they plan to shop in store and then 22% saying it's actually convenient to shop in store, that's an interesting gap that we want to unpack. Next, and I'm going to call you out, Kelly. Thank you again. Kelly sent me this because there is some discussion as to, should we base our planning off, for 2021 off of 2020 or 2019? I mean, the last couple of years have been crazy. So where do we actually want to strategize, and what data do we use to do that? So what we're looking at here is this little dotted line. Can you all see my arrow here? If you can't, I'm pointing at it. But there's this little dotted line. This is leading up to Mother's Day in 2021. And this is how people were acting when it came to, purchasing, searching in 2020. This little dotted line here. So we had, really lagging below 2019, which is this pretty blue dotted line. But then 2021, this year, we're seeing more correlation between what people were doing in 2019 and what they're doing this year. Now, there's a lot of reasons this could be happening, because if you notice, the dotted line here, which is, 2021 after that, it's just kind of all over the place. It's kind of right in the middle. It's not matching up with 2019 or 2020. So I think there's a lot of uncertainty out there we won't go deep into this, but with Delta, they're just not sure what's going to be happening. So there's kind of a middle ground that we're having to attack when it comes to strategizing for 2021. Now, omnichannel is going to be a theme you're going to see throughout today's presentation. And this was a question posed, I believe this was also from Google, when asked, when shopping online, I visit multiple websites before settling on what I'm going to buy and who to buy it from. So just in the Americas, and we're going to just talk about the US again, we see almost 50%, 46% are not sticking to one thing. They're not just going to Amazon. They're not just going to your website. They're not just going to one place. That experience is broadening. So we want to take that into account as we go through today's presentation. And this 61% is just the average, across. So if we have anyone from Canada, you've been included, just FYI. And there was this interesting stat from Target that found that omnichannel customers tend to spend 400% more than just strictly in-store retail customers. So I think that we talked with many of our clients, we as marketers pound this omnichannel, a lot. And there really isn't the why behind it. Like, well, why do we have to do more things? Well, it can actually be a better revenue driver if you're touching people where they live and in the right programmatic way. So it actually should be an opportunity that it may take longer or shorter depending on what you're doing, but you can actually lock in more revenue that way. So finally, I said I was come back to these numbers. This was an interesting stat that's going to come back throughout this presentation, which is this whole from the Facebook data we showed you earlier, that if this is in 2020, 55% planned to purchase in store, which, going off of 2019, that makes sense. A lot of us would find what we're looking for on our device. We'd see who has it and we'd go buy it. But then the ease of buying in store was less than half of that, which means we have a gap here. That could be some people just saying, forget it. I'm just going to go to just buy online. I'm not going to focus on in store at all. Or people who may have had issues with all of these things on the right, like the actual experience they're having trying to get their product online, the availability. If anyone was like me, last year I had things I was trying to buy for friends and family, and it would be out of stock or it wouldn't be shipped in time or whatnot. So I try to find a local place. So this could be where customers are, seeing who locally has this product available or products available. So they're buying, this is a BOPS, BOPIS. I don't know how we want to say that. I don't know if we've locked that down yet, but buying online and purchasing in store. The customer journey is widening in general. It's not just sticking to one channel, and e-commerce is continuing to gain ground. Again, it's not the 44% from last year, but if you consider this year at least had double digits, 12 to 13%, let's say, on top of that 44%, it's not slowing down. So we definitely cannot just pretend it's not happening. So these are some of the themes we're going to be seeing and considering throughout what everyone's going to be presenting today. Changing customer behavior. It's obviously a lot of it has been fueled the last couple years. A lot of us in the marketing side of it believe that it just threw into hyperdrive what was already trending. Things were already kind of trending this direction, but because of last year and this year, it's just been shoved into hyperdrive. So the customer journey and buying behavior is changing. The customer journey is widening. Like I said before, they could be going to your website and then to Amazon. They're comparing prices, who has the best promotions, who has the best deals, especially when it comes to the holiday season. E-commerce it's going to have to be a focus, whether you're focusing on only selling online or you have local customers who you're buying online and they can pick it up in store. Blending of that online and offline marketplaces. This really should be blending of the experience between online and offline. And then finally, the adoption of the omnichannel experience. People, they're now expecting, if they go to a website, they may see that same product that they were just looking at in their Facebook feed. They may get an email about like, hey, you put this in your shopping cart and do you want to check out with it? Here's a promotion about it. It's not as intrusive as it once was. People are expecting it more than they ever were before. So with all of that being said, take a breath. These are just some of the data that we're considering, because like I was talking with some of the team, the data just says what's happening, but it doesn't say why it's happening. So we want to try to uncover some of that. So with that, we are going to move on to social media, and we're going to kick it over to Phoenix. Phoenix, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone, if it's morning for everyone. But yeah, no, I think this is a really great tee up to, and everyone who works with myself or the paid social team, we take a psychological and statistical approach when creating any type of strategy, right? So if we're looking at behaviors in 2019 versus 2020 and 2021, we also have to think about where we were. And we have to talk about 2020 was a really unstable time. People didn't know what to do, shut down, what was going on with work, how they were getting their income, where they needed to shop for holiday. And a lot of the trends show that they were holding on to their money for a certain amount of time, and then they just boomed and just started spending. Now in 2021 with Delta, mind you, we don't have anything locked in place yet, but the infrastructure is there. A big majority of the workforce has been able to shift or work from home. Mind you, there is still unemployment, and it's fairly big, but in comparison to that in the beginning of 2020, it's a very different space. So people know and are trained to buy online, but that doesn't mean that in-store is completely out of the question. So depending on what your goals are, if you do have in-store, if you do have e-commerce, how are you taking an omni-channel approach in order to hit every single one of those categories, right? So if you don't mind, go to the next slide. I took two of these really insightful PDFs and or decks from both Facebook and Pinterest. Those are probably the two most dominating platforms we use at National Positions at this time. After this presentation, I'm happy to send you both of them. They're very granular. They go super in depth. And my job is just to uncover what I think is probably the best plan of action for you that's palatable. So big thing to think about is planning ahead. We've talked about this, is if you're not planning now, you're late. If you look at this really interesting timeline here, from June to July, we're supposed to establish foundations and think about it. August to September, almost the beginning of October, is prepare for peak holiday sales moments. So this is where we are right now. If you're not preparing for peak, and if you're not ready to kind of trickle in those sales or how to be unique in the beginning of October to November, you're already behind. Peak holiday sales moments are going to be October through December. And then what are you doing to kind of prepare for the post-holiday? We know there's a trickle down. So how do we sustain? And my biggest thing is build momentum early. If you go back to the last slide really, really quick, Matt, sorry.
No worries.
Omnichannel. Big passion is omnichannel. So how do you build that momentum, not only through marketing automation, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Google, and Amazon? How are you building that momentum and keeping your brand top of mind during August through, or now it's September through October? And whether or not that's translating into direct sales now, we're keeping your brand in the mind of the purchasers, depending on what platform and how long that lead time is. So now is the time. I can't stress that enough. Now is the time, not only to prepare, but to have a rollout, go-to-market strategy that is perfect for your category of business, but also sets you apart. Now we can move on.
You got it.
Thank you. So this is actually from Facebook directly. It says 4 ways digital discovery is reshaping the holiday shopping landscape. So interestingly enough, we've always looked at these platforms in paid social as a great way to get brand awareness. A lot of digital marketers will say prospecting portion of the funnel is how we get brand awareness. But what we don't really realize is that it's such a huge discovery tool. And when we think discovery, we think Google. But Facebook does this as well, and so does Pinterest, and in many different ways. But during the holiday season, the main things we need to talk about are a different psychological approach of community and connection, engagement and entertainment, anticipation and occasion, right? How do we get ahead? How do we keep the interest there? Inspiration and spontaneity. So I'll kind of walk you through what I think will be very beneficial to your brand and if it applies. So go to the next slide, please. The big thing is connection. A really interesting stat here is 7 in 10 shoppers feel that the sales event allows them to feel a part of community. For example, Giving Tuesday, Small Business Saturday, etc. Right? This has been something people like to support. People want to feel psychologically a part of something important or that gives back. So this type of give back thought process, how do we go into it? What was the biggest theme in 2020? First responders. right? First responders were there for us when we needed them during the craziest time, and it's a pandemic. How do we reward those who have helped us? How are we just cognizant other than things that are going on in the world than sales, and bring that to the forefront? And also brand identity. So this is an opportunity to do something different, to set yourselves apart. Social media is a very interesting thing where you get to not only show the brand personality, but also get direct sales from that. So how are you putting those two things into place? Big one is connection. So when we say connection, that's just not perception, just from like the give back and the first responders that I had mentioned. That's also fulfillment. So right now, we know that there's a huge issue with fulfillment across a lot of different categories of business because of the pandemic, right? A lot of people don't want to come back to work, or there's fulfillment issues, or there's shipping issues, not only like in the United States, but overseas, you're late on shipments, etc. So how can you prepare yourself and set yourself up for success? How do you make sure that the products that you're choosing, that you're putting on sale, are going to be able to be shipped in time? What's the most important thing for the holiday, right? So how do you set yourself up and you build these brand guidelines as to what you're going to push? Not just for the sake of having a sale, but in order for you not to be in hot water, right? And then the customer service experience, and that's fine. The customer service experience, we all know is important, but I mean that to like top priority. There are so many competitors in the space right now. All eyes are on e-commerce. So, you know, even if they do see you in store, what's that experience in social, right? Both Pinterest, Facebook, TikTok, etc. So keep those things in mind because it's a 360 approach. Awesome. So this is teeing up of utilizing all features. I want to challenge you to think about all the different features on social media that it provides and why you should be utilizing them. So we think about Instagram Live, we talk about Facebook Live, we talk about Reels, Instagram TV, Instagram Guides. So something that's new is in Facebook advertising, you can actually do sponsored Reels through the Ads Manager. So before it was just sponsored posts, we all know that, right? You put a couple $100 or $25 behind a post and, you know, pray to whatever that it works. We do paid social because there's a strategy behind that. Well, now you can do reel formatting. So when we say omni-channel, we say, how are you utilizing organic strategy to help Facebook strategy, to help Google strategy, to help marketing automation strategy, and so on? You get my point, right? How are they all interconnected to get to the actual goal at the end? So the next thing that I thought was really interesting is this thing called Instagram Guides. Depending on what category of business you're in, please look on your Instagram and see if you have this option. It's in beta right now. Some people have it, some people don't. Write a really strong worded email to Instagram. I highly suggest it to see if you can get it. But it's basically this cool little feature that's like a blog on the platform. So it gets people to know who you are. So if you have an organic social team, look into it. I think it's a really good way of getting extra eyes on you and to explain what you do and further those processes out, especially if you do SEO, blogs on the website, you can repurpose them on here.
Quick question, Phoenix, on this, before you go on, because you may cover this later, so I don't want to step on your toes.
Fine.
When it comes to, because I'm sure people might be asking, okay, whether they're advertising or not, is there a primary and a secondary when it comes to, you know, their strategic focus from paid social media and organic social media? Or is there a good happy medium place when it comes to some of these, like the lives and the reels, that off the top of your head that you might consider?
Well, you know, you're like pressing on one of the most important topics for me.
I know.
As much as like my heart is paid social and that is my title, organic social also has my heart because a lot of my beginnings started in organic social. And now that the iOS 14.5 has hit and has really hurt a lot of our efforts in paid social because of privacy, etc., and that's a whole other conversation for another time, organic social is extremely important because what it is a secondary website. People need to know when they come to you that they feel valid in their purchases. There should be as little friction as possible, right? The idea behind going to a website is you want as little clicks as possible. It's the same idea with trust. So if they come onto your organic social and it's lacking any type of brand identity, you're not speaking to your audience, you're not, you know, active, Why would I be active in your brand if you're not active in your own brand, right? It's this interesting thing and this concept that my mother, I praise her for this, is common sense is not common, right? So sit back for a second and go, am I hitting all of the things I need to hit in organic because it's free?
Yeah.
It is free. So utilize that platform, and then Instagram Live, Facebook Live. Keep in mind, if the content isn't compelling, maybe don't go for it, right? This is still your brand, but utilize it, plan, create a go-to-market strategy that hits everything. And I will talk about how they all complement each other, especially organic, down the road.
For sure. So it's kind of one of those things, because we've seen this before. If any of our clients are on right now, hopefully not with yours, but where we have someone new may come to us and they want to do advertising, but then we go to their page and every post is an ad. So there's no trust being built. It's just buy. So there definitely is a yin and a yang you want to pay attention to when it comes to the social side. Enough yapping from me. We'll move on.
It's a great point. If you look at Nike, right? You don't just love Nike because of the shoes, because I did when I was growing up. I was a huge sneakerhead. And then what they've done is they've really expanded. They have outreach programs. They have a bunch of on the ground groups for things that are happening within the community, et cetera. So you feel like you're a part of something. They understood that role, right? And they got ahead of it. And that is something that's called buy-in, right? Buy into your brand for brand loyalty. And organic is such an incredible opportunity there. Paid social does dive into it to a certain extent. It can do both, but not as effectively as organic. And that's your returning customer. That's your lifetime customer value right there. They're coming back, they're watching, they want to see what's going on. And that brings me into this new idea of shoppertainment. And shoppertainment is so interesting because we talk about back in the day, you have QVC. I mean, it's still going on and it's effective. It has its place. For my generation, probably not so much. I go to QVC and I think about my grandmother. I don't think about me buying there because I think it's gimmicky, right? But what is our new QVC? What is the new age way of going about it? And that's going to be live entertaining shopping opportunities. Because if we look at these statistics right here, and this is provided by Facebook, it says, and Facebook's intertwined with Instagram, $25 billion in sales is expected to be from live stream shopping events in the US by 2023. That's huge. It's really big. And 14% of holiday shoppers who made an unexpected discovery on social media during a live shopping event. It says shipping event, it's a shopping event. It's interesting, right? Because we don't know what we want until we realize we want it, right? So it's one of those things, like that discovery component of everything. And then funny enough, Facebook is calling me right now. 23% of shoppers prefer engaged and or interactive sales. So we're bored, right? We know how to buy online. We're over the whole like learning curve and that hump of like, how do we buy? Now it's where is my purchasing dollar? Where are my purchasing dollars going to? So how are you setting yourself apart? And this is an interesting way of doing it, right? It's that brand identity. So 71% of sales shoppers like to take part in entertainment shopping experiences. There's a lot of distracting ways to do this. There's a really strong way to do this, and live is a way to show the actual tangible element here. So if I want to sell you an AirPod, tell you all the benefits, the features of it in the prospecting component of paid social, I'm kind of garnering your interest. But then you go to organic social, you have an influencer. Let's pretend I'm an influencer, I'm super cool, which I'm not. You go in here and I get to tell you all the features of the AirPods. I get to tell you and feel the weight, talk about the things and whether they be pain points or whether they be benefits you can't explain in a static image. This is something that gets you excited about it. This is why influencer marketing is so strong. So how are you preparing for this in holiday? What is your plan with that? Because if you know that a big percentage is doing this, how do you get ahead? Does that mean that you start these sales ahead of time? I would suggest yes. Because as much as Black Friday and Cyber Monday are important, great. If you communicate through Instagram Live, Facebook Live, that these deals only last a certain amount of time, so people aren't going, well, I'm going to hold out till Cyber Monday. You're communicating that it is a buy now, it's a call to action, and it's a sense of urgency. So you're creating the buzz. You're creating that like momentum. And then to your point, Matt, and I'll speak really quickly to this, how does this all work in tandem together? So You know, you saw in the first slide, I'm talking about how every single component of your internal team needs to be working together. So if we talk about organic, what is happening on organic? We need to gain traffic to the site. We need to gain brand awareness. So even if they're not a site or gaining traffic to your website, what did I say originally? Your organic social channel is a secondary site. So you're bringing people to your organic. So in paid social, for Facebook and Instagram, I can heavily retarget anybody who's engaged with any of your lives, your reels, all of those features we were just talking about that you haven't utilized yet and you're gaining buzz toward early. I can fill that retargeting bucket more than ever before. Why wouldn't you do that ahead of time? Yeah. Rather than have the small bucket that everybody else is trying to pull from?
Exactly. So and then you have the shoppertainment, which is kind of like social proof on steroids. Because Correct. You're doing it in real time. It's not just something someone read, but they're giving you the experience that you can't, be tactile and do if you're not in store. Cool.
Exactly. And I'll just end it here. It's all about discovery. So think about discovery, see how it's building. If we started in August and we're building that momentum, right? Then we're teeing up for their peak time. How are we preparing for our peak time? Well, we're building traffic. And again, like I said, that retargeting bucket, how are we filling it? How am I equipping Darren in marketing automation? How am I equipping, Amazon even, if that's something that you want? He said, by the way, you can buy it on Amazon, but that is a strategic play as well, because you need to make sure you streamline those channels. But like also with Kelly, like how are we making sure that we're gaining more traffic from Kelly's efforts from Google, and I can utilize the pixel? So it's all about co-opetition, right? The idea that all of your quote unquote competitors from before and your own siloed units are actually now working together for the ultimate goal. For example, Pinterest has a longer lead time. So we know that Pinterest is going to send a lot of qualified traffic to your site. They do, that's proven, but the lead time is a lot longer. So we know that that's going to be a longer lead time, but Facebook is going to utilize all that traffic for retargeting. How are you utilizing every single component in order to get to your ultimate goal? So these are some things that I want to bring to the forefront as you're planning for holiday, or you should have already planned for holiday, to get that conversation moving internally.
Fantastic. So, I mean, don't leave any stone unturned and think omnichannel. Don't just, there's no silos here. Awesome. Thank you, Phoenix. I appreciate it. So let's move on to Amazon and e-commerce with Courtney. Courtney, the floor is yours.
Perfect. So that basically gives me a good leeway off of what Phoenix had mentioned with paid social efforts. According to Amazon's study and survey that they did, 39% of consumers are planning to actually start their holiday shopping in October. So it's time to get started to build those retargeting funnels. Retargeting funnels can apply to social, Amazon, Google, it's all of them. So it's time to start building those. And then you'll have to forgive me on my first bullet point. I actually meant Cyber Week last year trickled into early December. So last December 2020 was a huge year in Amazon that we may see differences when we come into this year. First off, websites delayed in shipping, like Phoenix had mentioned, staffing shortages, etc. We may see similar trends this year, but we can definitely plan on maybe comparing a little bit more to 2019 with numbers with a blend of 2020. So that then covers into 64% of consumers plan on doing 40% of their holiday shopping online. So we still need to plan for omnichannel, but definitely 40% is the expected trend for online shopping. Also, we need to plan for and helping our clients plan for not only their internal staffing and warehouse potential issues, but also Amazon. Different Amazon reps have reported that the warehouses are experiencing staffing issues right now. So we need to plan on getting inventory, FBA inventory to them by November 1st, the very latest, if not October, just so you can plan on that possible delay with Amazon as well as shipping on our end. And then, like Phoenix had mentioned, influencer programs. We did a product launch a couple of months ago with leveraging an influencer program. And we actually saw 102% increase in month-to-month revenue sales, where they actually out of stock on Amazon, on the website, etc. So again, planning for that additional volume this year in Amazon is really important, especially with all those warehouses and staffing shortages.
Because that's the last thing you want to do when it comes to Amazon or anything else, is to do a big push and a big promotion, and then it's like, oops, out of stock. Because
right, exactly. So definitely plan. Now is the time to plan, like Phoenix had mentioned.
Yeah.
And then top categories that are continuing to trend into this year: home improvement, athleisure. Athleisure is basically all those work from home individuals that are wearing their casual workout clothes to their Zoom calls. And then self-care, basically, you know. Is that what you have going on over there, Matt?
No, I'm not doing that at all. I'm wearing slacks below this shirt for sure.
And then self-care, face peels, nails, etc. So all of those are really trending at this time. And then my last key point I wanted to mention regarding Amazon and trends is content, and how important it is to diversify yourself in that area. Basically, consumers are not going to necessarily feel comfortable going in person to stores, or they're just going to want the convenience online. They already know how to do it. So basically, you need to plan on answering your consumer questions, the key consumer questions within your different content, either through your A+ listings, product listing, brand store pages, and then also content. Right now, Amazon video content is huge. You can include it in your product listing, your A+ pages. You can run advertising campaigns, and this is going to help really feature and describe your product and make you a differentiator in the industries. And then Amazon's actually coming out with several new features currently in beta. So one key item is that you can follow different brand store pages on Amazon. And again, these are just brand registry features only. So you have to have a registered brand to be able to run these different items. And then Amazon Posts up there in the right-hand corner. Basically, when you go, as a consumer, when you go to the product listing page, if you scroll down all the way to the bottom on your mobile device, you're going to be able to see posts. And it's basically a social media platform within Amazon that you're going to be able to start leveraging and generating not only followers, but additional brand recognition. And then what do you do with those followers? Amazon actually now has a beta available where we can do email retargeting programs for those followers.
Right from Amazon.
Correct.
Gotcha. So really quick, I know this isn't on this slide. There's, if anyone wanted to find out if they have this feature available to their brand, maybe they just don't know about it. Do you know how they could find that?
Basically, they have to have brand registry. If they have brand registry, they're likely to find it, but we can definitely send over tutorials with how to access.
For sure. Okay, fantastic. Yeah. And this is something that's actually really interesting. I'm sure Darren has thought about this too, because this was the big, I believe, up until recently, this whole follow issue, this is a big kind of no-no. They didn't want people promoting, you know, to people on Amazon from, it was just, they wanted that kind of confined, but now there seems like they're kind of opening, they're loosening the corset string, the purse strings a little bit to give us more access to do more things.
Exactly.
Cool. All right.
More opportunities to connect to the consumers. Another thing to leverage moving into the holiday season is customizing your holiday messaging within Amazon. So you're able to do this either through your ad campaigns, your product listings, brand store pages. You can call out promotions, run a percentage off, buy one, get one with this customized messaging. So that's going to be a key differentiator for each business to run those different opportunities. And then leveraging the different ad campaign types. Sponsored ads is available to everyone despite brand registry. Brand headline ads, video ads, and display ads are very specific to brand registry users. So if you haven't gotten the hint yet, brand registry is a key to be able to leverage that additional traction within Amazon.
So no judgment, but Amazon prefers brands to drop shippers.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
And then just some different ad campaign types that you should be running. Automatic targeting campaigns is leveraging your product listing details, your titles, your descriptions, your backend keywords to show for users keyword searches in Amazon. So that's an extremely important one to leverage, as well as manual keyword campaign. It works very similar to Google, where you're manually bidding on keywords to show at the top of the search engine page. Category audiences is a new one. Basically, you're able to leverage, if somebody is selling lighting fixtures on Amazon, you're able to target in a display ad type setting individuals who are in market for light fixtures, for example. So that's a whole new one. It's going to bring new customers to your brand. It's going to bring lifetime value to your products. And then the last one's retargeting. Amazon has a display retargeting component for individuals that have viewed your products or your store page, and you're then able to retarget to those individuals.
Awesome. So there's short, the short version, well, not short, but there's never a short version when it comes to Amazon, but especially with the holidays, there's more opportunity people just may not know about when it comes to
exactly. Customizing the content is going to be a big one. Running promotions, video ad campaigns, leveraging all of the brand registry features is extremely important.
All right. Awesome. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Courtney. Well, now we're going to move on to Kelly, who's going to break down some opportunities, and even she had to explain some of it to me when it comes to advertising on Google. So Kelly, you have the floor.
Yes. So again, with a lot of the same sentiments as Phoenix and Courtney have mentioned, we are expecting more users to be shopping in store in 2021 versus 2020. But more than ever, the data suggests that users are digital first. If you want to go to the next slide, Matt.
Absolutely.
So by digital first, I mean before they go in store anywhere, they're going to be checking online, doing research beforehand, or checking and seeing if that item is available in store. So currently about 60% of US holiday shoppers do check online before they go in store. And I want to make sure that we are highlighting any of your buy online, pick up in store or curbside pickup options if you have a brick and mortar location. Currently, those who do have a brick and mortar location, about 43% of retailers are using these buy online, pick up in store or curbside badges on their shopping feed. So something to consider if you're not currently utilizing that feature. The holidays, of course, competition is always tough, but the holidays it gets pretty intense. So you want to make sure that you're highlighting any offering that you do to stand up or stand out against other folks advertising around the holidays. But this is also a great feature to attract those last minute shoppers with in-store pickup options. Again, if they're able to buy online and pick up in store, gets that conversion that much quicker, and you're able to capture that audience because you're making their ease of purchase even more simple.
So, and this can lead, especially for the local audience, because, I know that for those of you who don't know, Darren, he's in Cleveland. Courtney, you're in Idaho. Is that right? Phoenix is in LA, Kelly's in Ohio, and I'm in Nashville. So we are all over. So when it comes to your local, your let's just say your local marketplaces that, if I was trying to shop for something that last week, but I'm seeing a delay on Amazon, but I have this that says, oh, Target has it or someone else has it, I can just pick it up. I'm not leaving money on the table. That's cool. All right, sorry, let me move on. I'll stop talking.
All right. Again, in that same sentiment, we're trying to stand out as much as we can this holiday season. If you have any kind of fast or free shipping options, we have to compete with Courtney's product over there, Amazon. So people are looking and expecting those shorter shipping times. Again, another badge you can add to your shopping feed. Any kind of free delivery or deliver by date, or even an extended holiday return windows can be highlighted with a badge on your shopping feed. About 78% of holiday shoppers in the US will shop at stores that offer free shipping. So again, another way to stand out amongst your competitors in the shopping feed. And the goal of adding these is to, of course, improve your click-through rate. So the number of time your ads are clicked on for when they're shown, and as well as increase total number of conversions.
And there was another, this is a slight tangent. I know we gotta go here, but this is also can be an opportunity also where, because there may be local companies that, well, we can't really offer free shipping, but they can run promotions where like, hey, if you're over a certain amount, you know, so if it's, hey, if you're instead of $50, but hey, over $70 the shipping cost is a wash. So that could actually be a promotional opportunity where they could say, hey, you know, if you spend another $20, you can get free shipping on this.
And that leads me perfectly into my next slide, Matt.
I'm sorry, I knew I was gonna do it. I'm so sorry.
Of course, promotions, it's definitely a good time to decide what promotions you're offering, when you're offering it, and making sure that you're communicating that on all channels, whether that's Amazon, Facebook, your website. We have a new promotion tag offered on your shopping feed. You may be familiar with a promotion extension on a search ad, but these are actually below at the very bottom of your shopping feed, and they can offer, you can promote discounts, promo codes, free gifts, shipping, again, like Matt was mentioning, free shipping if you spend $50 or whatever. It can be all the time offers, or they can be short term. And folks will click on that little link at the bottom, and it'll open into a pop-up with a coupon code that they can use on your website to redeem that offer. Again, another way to stand out and making sure that you're communicating everything that you're doing around the holiday season within your Google strategy as well.
Awesome.
All right. And something that you may or may not be familiar with is discovery ads. This would be an opportunity to use one of Google's somewhat new features. Some of you guys may already be utilizing them or haven't yet. Just to give you an idea of what a discovery ad is they're image-based ads, and they specifically appear on YouTube, the Discover Network, as well as Gmail. And they're designed to reach folks who are discovering brands and deciding when they're buying a little bit further down the funnel. I'm going to go to the next slide. Mm-hmm. But these image ads are specifically great to use lifestyle images or any other holiday creative that you're using on your social media accounts or your website to create a really consistent strategy and imagery that they can recognize your brand and identify that you're doing any kind of holiday specials. This is also going to be an area where you use influencer images. Again, the same ones you're using organically on social media or even in your paid ads. Those can be used in your discovery campaigns as well. Again, the goal of discovery ads is getting access to some of those untapped high intent consumers. So you may be reaching a certain amount with your search ads or your shopping ads, but reaching these consumers when they're not specifically looking for you. A few ways we do that is we go and look in your ad account and we find keywords that are your top performing keywords, ones that convert really well, and we create an audience with those. So we are specifically looking for users who search these really, really profitable keywords for you. So the intent is extremely high. We also can target them using customer match. Essentially, if you send us an email list, we can reach them that way. We can reach them through remarketing. So someone who visits your website and maybe hasn't converted, we can serve them a discovery ad there, or we can look at specific Google audiences as well. A lot of these same targeting features and the creative I mentioned earlier can also be said about YouTube ads. So discovery ads and YouTube ads, again, reach customers between when they search and they're ready to buy. So we're hitting them at multiple different touch points, but also giving a cohesive brand look and feel of how you're marketing your products on other platforms as well.
You know, if I could really quick, because this is where actually Kelly had to explain to me, like, what's a discovery ad? So, I mean, I use this is Google's little, news feed, I use it on my phone. So I just went in just right now, and like this right there, that's an ad for Rosetta Stone because I was looking at Babbel. So this is kind of one of the places that they would show up. You can all see that.
All right, and then my last point, and I'll wrap this up quickly so I give Darren plenty of time, is about being flexible with your budgets. We know, again, higher competition around the holidays. People are going to be bidding more aggressively, and there'll be more users in the marketplace who are also increasing their budgets. So allow for some more headroom within your budget. With increasing holiday demand, Google currently recommends a 30% increase over October spend specifically for your shopping campaigns. So base your November and December spend off of what you spend in October as those folks are ramping up. Also expect more competition. Be really cognizant of what your competitors are pricing their products, what kind of discounts and promo codes they're offering in the digital space, so we can help stand out among the competition and have them click our ads and convert over other businesses. And the last piece is our ads only work as well as the information that we give them. So please communicate any holiday goals that you have to any of us. I think this really goes for any channel that you're working for. So this could be, maybe there's certain products you're really, really wanting to push around the holidays. There's maybe certain products that are extremely profitable for you that you'd like to push around the holidays. If you have a specific sales goal or return on ad spend number that you're looking at, this will help us check in as we get into the holiday season to make sure we're progressing to reach our holiday goals. So we can set up your campaigns for success and help tailor our advertising to what makes the most sense for your business.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Kelly. I appreciate it. So now to take us home, as we're going to turn it over, we're going to go into marketing automation, and this can mean email marketing, and automation can mean a lot of things. So Darren's going to kind of break this down. So Darren, let's end strong.
Thank you, Matt.
That's what I'm here for, just to help you. That's all I'm here for.
Let's go to the next slide, please.
You got it.
So a couple marketing automation, and when we talk marketing automation, we mean anything to do basically with email, automated email, all your contacts within your CRM, and then on a larger level also your SMS marketing. So one of the huge trends of this holiday season, we don't know exactly when this is going to happen, but it could be this week, it could be this month. iOS 15 on iPhone is going to radically change the way we track opens. So start looking at your emails from a click perspective as opposed to an open perspective. Realize that it's more important who you're driving to your site as opposed to who's seeing your messaging. So that's a big paradigm shift. We need to keep segmenting our sends more and more. So if you're sending around a certain type of clothing, let's say, getting it specific to the demographic. What are the ages for the specific piece of clothing? For example, what is the gender? What is the locality that wears that type of clothing? All of that is a really important trend for this time of year and in general. SMS marketing is going to be huge for those companies that are doing it this holiday season. You need to do some setup ahead of time. So it's not something that you can just kind of fly by the seat of your pants, but it's very important. The next thing I have here is welcome series and abandoned cart is not enough. So those are kind of your bread and butter when it comes to automated emails, but we need to start looking beyond that because now basically all the competition has that. How can we break free of the competition and differentiate ourselves? And the last thing, which is another really important thing, is list hygiene in the ESPs, the email service providers. It is getting, over time, it gets harder and harder to get to the right inboxes in the email platforms. And that's all about making sure that your lists are really clean, that you're only sending to people who want to get your messages, that you're taking out all the people who are going to bounce, who are spam traps, which is a whole different conversation. But it's very important not to be looking at how many people you're sending to, but how many qualified and real people that want to receive your emails and SMSs you're sending to.
Because it's much better to have, you may have 50,000 people, in your CRM, but it's better to send it to 5,000 and get 50% open than to 50,000 and get 1%. It's just like, for one, you're not going to, because your email ratings, if you get a lot of spam coming, it's just going to get harder and harder to send. And just to touch really quick here, this number 2, targeted, you're also not just talking demographics and geographics, but also action-based, right? So if it's, you could have a new customer, you could have existing customers, you could have customers who did X, Y, and Z, or Z, Y, and X. So getting really programmatic on that front.
Let's go to the next slide, Matt.
I think we're on track.
In terms of preparing for, this whole holiday push, marketing automation is going to be a very big revenue driver. On the side, I've got some of the big tools that we're going to use, and this is really across all platforms, all channels, with discounts, coupons, deals, free delivery. You can go down the list. They're all going to be really, really important. I think it depends on your brands, but I would say at the bare minimum, if you're not getting 10% of revenue from email, the thing about email is that it scales very nicely. So you're not paying more for sending 1,000 emails as opposed to 1 million emails, largely speaking. So if you're not making a bare minimum of, I'd say 10%, 5% on the very low end, you really got to reevaluate how you have your whole omnichannel approach set up. Discounts are definitely key. I think we all know that in this season, and that's across all channels. Messaging needs to be holiday specific. People are expecting that you're not going to send out the same stuff you were sending all year, and you need to send more because everyone's sending more. If you don't send more, you're just going to get lost. So it's important that you up the frequency with the rest of your competitors. And then just finally, talking about how email, marketing automation, SMS, how they play into the different channels we talked about. SEO, we didn't talk about as much in this presentation, but I know a lot of you are investing heavily in SEO. And when those people are coming to your website, it's great that they're on your website. What are you going to do with them? How are you going to convert them in the bottom of the funnel? So you're spending all this time and effort and money getting all this content. How are you leveraging that content as best as possible? So that's where marketing automation comes in. In terms of paid ads and paid social, it's all about decreasing your ROAS and CPA, your cost per acquisition. So if I'm paying $40, that would probably be high for an e-commerce brand. Let's say, $1 a person to get to my website. Well, what percent are they actually converting? If I'm going to increase the conversion rate through something like email, SMS, targeted sends, automated emails, then in effect, I'm paying the same amount, but I'm becoming much more profitable. So it kind of brings down, in a certain sense, my CPA. And the last thing for Amazon, which kind of ties in a little bit to some of the things that Courtney was talking about with their new email features, is how do we remarket to people on Amazon? Amazon has historically made kind of a wall in between their whole platform and your buyers. You haven't really been able to interact with them, but there are ways to get around them. Those walls are coming down slowly but surely. So are you using email and SMS to market to those people as best as you can with those limitations? Yeah. And on the right, just really quickly, this is, it very much is business dependent, but we're kind of expecting that in terms of the most profitable channels, social, as we talked about, email, ads, and then it goes down from there. So it's basically everything we're talking about. Every single part of your omnichannel approach needs to be on point for this holiday season.
Awesome. So don't let email and marketing automation sit, as Phoenix, we've all been saying, in its own silo, because it's only going to be minimally as effective. Awesome. So as we wrap up here, so hopefully you can see this, all these notes we've had here about changing buyer behavior and the widening customer journey, focusing on e-commerce, blending offline and offline experiences, and omnichannel. It's not, this goes across almost every single channel, even the ones that we didn't speak about. I know we can talk about SEO and all of that, because a lot of us, when it comes to the holidays, we're focusing on dollars and cents in the next quarter, not in the next 6 months. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing this screen for a moment to see if we have any questions that we can address. And let me see here. So if anyone has not, let me see here. I don't see any questions. So I'll give it just about 30 seconds here. So in the bottom of the screen, you should see an option for Q&A. So you should be able to ask any questions you wish. And if you don't, that's completely fine. Okay, well, I don't see any questions. So that's hopefully, it's either a very good thing or a very bad thing. So let me go back and we will wrap this presentation up. So hopefully you can all see this again. So with that, so if you have, as Phoenix said, if you haven't prepared, you need to get prepared. So a few different ways. If you do want us to help, we're happy to, but we're going to be sending you a lot of this information. So it's kind of up to you. So if you are a current client and you saw anything that, oh, we didn't think about that, or we haven't talked about that, or you want to add something to your stack, you can contact us directly. You should have your team members' information. I'm not going to give out everyone's email on this webinar, but if you need to get a hold of Kelly or Phoenix or Courtney or any of them, you can contact them directly. Alternatively, if you're not sure who to contact and or you're new, you can just send an email to marketing@nationalpositions.com. That will go directly to me, and I can direct any questions or anything you want to discuss to the right individual here. And again, if you're new to NP, you can also call us directly. But if you do want to go directly to me, you can just marketing@nationalpositions. And if you just kind of want to get a handle on where the opportunity might be, you're not sure, you may be running Facebook ads, let's say on your own, but you want to know, is there an opportunity with Google or Instagram or Amazon or marketing automation? We can run a full analysis on where that opportunity might be on how you can leverage it for the holidays. So feel free to get a hold of us, and we're happy to help you out in any way that we can. Otherwise, you can get more info at nationalpositions.com. I'm assuming most of you have been there at some point, or you can call us, and like we mentioned before. So what you should be watching for after this webinar is we'll be sending you a PDF of this presentation so you can review it, as you wish. May have a little more information in it than just what we presented, but watch your email for that. We will have a link to this webinar so you can go back through it and just watch it at your leisure. We'll of course be inviting you if you do want to do any kind of one-on-one or have a conversation with anybody. I'll include emails in that email so you can get a hold of us. And as some of you may know, hopefully you know, is anyone who attended today, and I have a listing so I know who attended, you are going to be registered to win a ticket to AdWorld Online in October, which are lovely and talented Phoenix. You give it away, Phoenix, whoever knows, hopefully, if you can't see, but Phoenix, head of our paid social media, will be speaking at AdWorld as well. So you'll get a chance to see her talk about a whole different subject there. So with that, thank you all very, very much for attending our webinar today. And thank you, Darren and Courtney and Phoenix. And I'm going to stop sharing so we can see everyone's wonderful faces, hopefully. So thank you all very much for joining us today. And if you have any questions, get a hold of us at any time. Have a wonderful day and stay happy, healthy, and have a wonderful 2021 holiday season. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you.